This happened on a long night drive I took by myself. I had been on the road for hours, longer than I originally planned. It was one of those drives where everything starts to blur together after a while. Same road, same darkness, same feeling of just wanting to get to your destination. At some point, I checked my fuel gauge. It was lower than I expected. Not empty, but close enough to make me uneasy. I hadn't seen any signs for gas stations in a while, which was strange. Usually, even on long highways, you at least pass something every now and then. I checked my GPS. Nothing nearby. No stations, no towns, just a long stretch of road ahead. I remember feeling slightly annoyed at first. I figured maybe the map just hadn't updated or something. So I kept driving, expecting to see a sign eventually. But minutes passed, then more. Still nothing. The road felt emptier than usual. No cars behind me, no cars ahead, just darkness and the sound of my engine. Then, out of nowhere, I saw it. A gas station, right off the side of the road. There was no sign leading up to it, no indication it was there. It just appeared. One moment there was nothing, and the next, there it was. I slowed down without really thinking about it. Relief hit me first, then hesitation. The place didn't look normal. It wasn't completely run down, but it looked old, like it hadn't been updated in years. The lights were on, but they had this dull yellow glow that barely lit the area. There was only one pump, and no other cars. I sat there for a few seconds before pulling in. Something felt wrong. But at that point, I didn't feel like I had much of a choice. So I parked, turned off the engine, and stepped out. The silence hit me immediately. No insects, no wind, no distant sounds. Nothing. Just complete, heavy silence. I walked over to the pump and picked up the nozzle. It felt off, heavier than normal, colder. I started pumping gas, keeping my eyes mostly on the numbers, trying not to think too much about it. But I couldn't ignore the feeling, like I was being watched. Slowly, I looked toward the store. There was a man inside, standing behind the counter, just staring at me. Not moving, not blinking, just watching. I gave a small nod, trying to be normal. He didn't react, didn't nod back, didn't move. After a few seconds, I looked away, but that feeling didn't go away. If anything, it got worse. I finished pumping, but I didn't feel any relief. Normally, once you're done, you just get back in your car and leave. But something about it didn't feel complete, like I had to go inside. I don't know why I felt that way, but I did. So I walked toward the door. Each step felt heavier than it should have. The bell rang as I opened it. The sound echoed more than it should have. The air inside felt thick, not just stale, heavy, like stepping into a room that hadn't been opened in a long time. "Hey," I said. My voice sounded strange, like it didn't belong there. The man didn't respond. He just stood there, looking at me. I walked up to the counter and placed my money down. Still nothing. That's when I started noticing things. The register looked old, not just outdated, but unused, like it hadn't been touched in years. I glanced around. The shelves were stocked, but the items looked wrong. The packaging was faded, outdated. Some of the labels looked like things I hadn't seen in a long time, like products from years ago. I picked one up. It felt dusty, like it had been sitting there for a long time. I slowly set it back down. Then I looked at the man again. "Do you have a receipt?" I asked. Nothing. No response. No movement. Just that same stare. That's when the feeling hit me fully. I shouldn't be there. I took a step back, then another. The man didn't move, didn't react, didn't even blink. I turned and walked toward the door, faster this time. The bell rang again as I stepped outside. The air felt different immediately, lighter. I didn't look back. I just got into my car,
and locked the doors. For a second, I just sat there, trying to process what just happened. Then I looked at the pump. The numbers were there. It showed that I had filled up. Everything looked normal, but it didn't feel real. I started the engine and drove off, not fast, but faster than I had been. A few minutes later, I checked my GPS again. Now it showed a gas station ahead, about 5 miles away. I frowned, confused. I kept driving, and sure enough, a few minutes later, I saw it. A normal gas station. Bright lights, multiple pumps, cars, people. Everything looked normal. I pulled in, parked, got out, and walked inside. The difference was immediate. Sound, movement, normal air, a normal cashier. I walked up to the counter. "Hey," I said. The cashier nodded. "Hey, what's up?" That alone felt strange. Normal. I hesitated, then asked, "Was there another gas station back the way I came?" He looked at me for a second, then shook his head. "No, not for miles." I frowned. "There was one, like 5 minutes back." He shook his head again. "No, not anymore. There used to be one out there years ago, but it got shut down." My chest tightened. "How long ago?" He shrugged. "Long time, before I started working here." I didn't say anything else. I just nodded and left. When I got back to my car, I checked my fuel gauge. It hadn't moved. Still low, exactly where it was before I stopped. I stared at it for a while, trying to make sense of it. Then I looked back toward the road I came from. It was just darkness now. No lights, no sign of anything, like that place was never there. But the part that still bothers me is that I know I got out of my car. I know I pumped gas. I know I walked inside. I remember every detail. And yet, nothing changed. Like I was never there at all.